Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. This is episode number 131, and I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin'. And this week, I do welcome back my co host, Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion. Welcome back, my friend.
Hey guys.
Man,
It's been a while.
yeah, man, it's been a long 3 weeks. So, what's new with you, man? Anything exciting?
Home alone for a little bit.
Yeah.
The wife took the kid to New Jersey to visit parents, and so I'm
Oh,
all alone for a few days.
no shit, throwing a party, right?
Yep. And then I applied to a manager position at work, so
Fuck yeah,
lots of
dude.
things are going.
Yeah. Any word on that? You getting an interview set up or anything?
Uh, just waiting to see because it
Yeah.
was an internal only posting, and if there aren't any other interviewees, I guess the job is really there for me.
That's awesome, man. Great to see that. Yeah, man. Over the last 3 weeks, I mean, outside of gaming, it's really just been about my daughter. Obviously, she just had her first birthday, led to her first birthday party, and then not even a week later, she ends up in the hospital due to a major illness. But she is home now, so there. That's always that. She's actually sleeping, getting her rest that she definitely needs. But I mean, outside of that, man, just trying to get through work as much as I can. Just it's a drag a lot of days. Probably need to look into getting something different, or even just go and further my education in something that I want to try and dive into a little bit more. But you know, only so many hours in a day, and sometimes there's not enough.
Yeah,
That's tough,
I've
man.
been dealing with that for a while. That's why I stopped streaming, honestly. Just rather play games for the fun instead of like trying to meet a schedule.
Yeah, and yeah, honestly, I like this is my last year of trying to do like that, where I'm trying to beat 52 games. Like everyone knows, I'm trying to beat 52 games this year. I'm actually on par. I think I'm like one game behind. No big deal. I'll catch back up. But it's like, man, like feeling like I have to beat through a game really quickly. I feel like I miss out on a lot of content in games.
Like that was me last year and that's me again this year, but like all of a sudden it feels a lot easier cuz I'm like, I'm going to be easy on myself. Like talking about video games coming up here, like the games we've been playing, Diablo 4. Like I played Season of the Construct 2 months ago. Last month I beat Season of the Construct and now Diablo released a new season and I'm like, well, now that I'm playing it, I'm like, well, isn't it really kind of like a new game at this point?
More or less, yeah. It seems like they
Like,
add like such game changing like
yeah,
features, and it just makes it like feel like a whole brand new game.
mhm, exactly. And so I'm like, I'm kind of counting it as two separate games. Not only that though, but it's a whole nother story, a battle pass to beat, and grind through. So to me, it's a whole new narrative experience. It's like an expansion on a video game to me.
Yeah, it seems like an old school kind of DLC that actually used to come with games where like it seemed like Diablo 4 was a complete package when it did release, but everything after that,
Mhm.
at least especially recently, the seasons that they've been releasing been really quality of life updates, like brand new features, new storytelling, and it just overall changes the experience. Like the game now is nowhere near what it was when it first dropped.
Yeah, exactly. Like playing Loot Reborn. Uh, I played the last season of the Construct, and I'm playing this season. I'm like, holy, this game is different. Because like the last season, I'm sitting here, I'm like, if your build wasn't optimal and you had to rely on gear, good fucking luck because you're waiting to see if shit drops. Because it's not like Path of Exile. You can't really just like buy gear because
Hmm.
people don't really sell gear. So
Right.
what do? You kind of just sit there and you cry a little bit about it.
Eventually, right? So it seems like Diablo 4 has been a really enjoyable experience for you. I can't wait to eventually give it a go. Obviously, my first time playing a Diablo game was last year with you, Disney,
Mhm.
and Bruno in with Diablo 3, and I've been looking forward to playing this, especially once it came to the Game Pass. I was like, much easier way to enter this and give it a go. It's just
Mhm.
no time frame to play it. I don't want to play it solo. To be honest with you, I want to play cooperatively with other people. So maybe one of these days I can set that up. But talking about games though that we've been playing, I want to talk about some of mine. I think we have a long list here, and we're kind of going to go through like maybe about six of them on each side. And I guess I'm gonna start with like my surprising two. Has to be my mobile game experience. Is I have returned to Pokemon Go. Obviously, I always give Scott grief about playing this game every week, and I finally dove back in. But the unfortunate thing is I did not have access to my old account anymore. I have no idea what any of my login shit was because they changed like how you sign into the game. So I was like, well. looks like I'm creating a brand new account. So it's been fun because you're starting fresh. You got to catch all the Pokemon over again that you already had, and there's a way more fucking like every Pokemon is in the game now. Where like Roger, when me and you were playing back when the game first dropped, like it was only like a first two gen maybe, and then
Hmm.
now it's like every single one. So that's been a really awesome experience, and like there's so much to do in the game. A lot of challenges and missions, and there's new routes and the ability to trade and fight, and I mean, there's just so much shit going on. I'm like, I don't feel bored. Where before I was like, I kind of ran out of things to do in the game other than walk
Yeah.
around and collect the Pokemon. Where now like there's shit to work towards. So it's been a really fun experience. Like I'm glad that Scott has been hyping it up and got me to return back to it because now I've been playing it every day for the last 3 weeks. Every day, I literally have like a 21-day streak in the game.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then the other mobile game I've been playing is Fallout Shelter. I've returned to this game for the first time since it originally released, and this game has a ton more content now than it once did. And it just obviously with the Fallout hype, everyone's excited about it. There's rumors that it's coming to Fortnite. Obviously, it's rumors coming that Fallout's coming to Call of Duty. We actually might see a new announcement at the Xbox Showcase, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on. Um,
Hmm.
and it's just like, man, Fallout Shelter was just a nice, chill, turn your brain off, like just management sim kind of game. And you kind of like when you send your dwellers out into the wasteland to scavenge stuff, kind of put the shit down and go about your day. So it's kind of pick it up as you go, drop it whenever you want. So, ha-
Hmm.
have you played any mobile games lately, or has it just been mainly PC?
MTGA. Play it every week. I play it every day actually. I you get a daily every day, and I'm working to do that because I just enjoy playing MTG. I went to some locals recently, like I went to an F&M Friday Night Magic for Pioneer last weekend, and I didn't do great. I went 1 and 2, but I ended up with one of the random promo card drawings, which was cool.
Yeah, that's definitely dope. Speaking here with chat though, along the lines of card games, is Marvel Snap. I have not played it in quite some time, but I'm glad that you've been playing Inhuman. I know it's a game that has so much content being added to it all regularly, and just the different cards and different like playing fields that you play on, and then different mechanics that happen on a timely basis is it's been pretty cool to see the support for that game, which I'm actually excited for the upcoming Marvel Rivals game. I know a bunch of guys that shoot the wind have been playing in like the closed beta or the closed alpha, and they're like, this game is going to be dope. They're basically saying it's Overwatch, right? It's Overwatch 2, but reskinned into Marvel characters, and there's like 30 plus characters. Like I've seen the whole list already. I can't really name them because it's like leaked stuff, but yeah, I'm excited for that shit to drop because that's going to be like the new go to shooter game. I'm telling you.
Hmm.
But Roger, I want to talk about some of your games that you've been playing because there was a lot of surprises on your list. Some of them that I played, and I finally get to hear some of your experience. And I want to start with A Way Out. I kind of dove into your DMs when you said you finally beat this game. What did you think about this game coming from Joseph Ferris, who also created It Takes Two, which I know you absolutely adored that game. But what did you think
Yeah.
about the game before it?
So It Takes Two was definitely worlds above this one in my opinion. I thought that It Takes Two was a lot better game, but this definitely was the foundation, the building blocks for It Takes Two, and you can see that. But it was so well written, though. The ending had me pretty sad.
Yeah, right. Very unexpected ending to that game.
I
Um,
was just the fact that the game had to end that way, I was like, what?
yeah.
Like I'm sitting there and I felt bad because it was me versus Jordan, and I was like, "You're gonna get
What?
fucking
You get wrecked.
outgunned.
Get wrecked.
You barely gonna touch me with that gun."
Yeah,
like, but it was just one of those things where I was just kind of like, "Man, I don't really like how it ended, but I get why it did that."
right. But the game kind of did its job by making you
Hmm.
feel that way because you felt
Yeah.
attached to the characters, like from the evolving story where
Hmm.
these guys were strangers in jail, and they basically team up to escape prison, and then next thing you
Hmm.
know they have to kill one another at the end of it, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like I grown to really like these guys, and like some of the side stories that happen, like when you go visit the families and whatnot, you're like, man, like these genuine dudes, and then next you know you're like, fuck. Like it just tears you apart, and it's just like a really unexpected ending to a game. But yeah,
Hmm.
Joseph Ferris does a really great job because we can't forget like some of his older games, like Brothers. It take a Tale of Two Sons, not the remake
Hmm.
obviously, but the OG game. That was one of his first games, and like all of his games has that cooperative like experience. Like you have to play with two people. So yeah, I'm glad to hear though that you and Jordan seem to enjoy this one. Obviously, I don't think yeah, like you said, it's definitely not on It Takes Two level, but you can see the progression from Brothers to A Way Out to It Takes Two, and then he announced that his new project. Well, not officially like his actual name of it or what it's about, but
Hmm.
he has a lot going for him. So looking forward to that. Let's talk about another game here on my list. Maybe one that you and Jordan can actually play, not necessarily cooperatively, but Little Kitty, Big City. This is a game that recently dropped into Game Pass, and I probably would not have played this game, but with all of the damn podcasts I listened to, they would not stop talking about how good this game was, and I was like, okay,
Hmm.
fuck it, I'll play it. So I played it and I beat it in one sitting. It took me about an hour and a half to beat. I think at most it would take you 3 hours if you did every side thing in the game. But like if you played the game A Short Hike, which I played earlier this year and beat it, it's basically the same premise. You are trying to reach to the highest point of the map, but you don't have enough stamina, so you have to go around and collect things. So like in a short hike, you have to collect feathers to be able to climb. In this one,
Hmm.
you have to eat fish to get to the top. So basically, more or less the same thing, but like there's a bunch of side content that seems pretty cool. When you're a cat, you're helping ducks, you're helping fucking other birds, you're helping crows. There's different collectibles around the map. The map is genuinely big for such a small game, but it was an enjoyable game. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10 just because it was a good game. It didn't do anything new or like genre defining, but
Yeah.
overall it was an enjoyable experience. I'm glad it came to Game Pass. This is a game that I probably would not have bought, but Game Pass, the value of Game Pass, we talk about it over and over and over. It allows us to dive into games like this that you would normally not play.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I know Jordan loves cats. You love cats. This game is great. It is a fucking adorable ass game, and I highly recommend you and Jordan playing this. But Roger, let's talk about another game that I eventually do want to check out. I dove into your DMs to ask about this game and your experience, and it did not seem to end very well for you. But another Crap's Treasure. What happened with that game? Was it as hype as it should have been, or?
It had such high potential, and it squandered it, and I was kind of disappointed at it. Like the fact that like by the time you get to the end of the game, it feels like the game's gone on a little too long. And as you get to the end, the game does a horrible thing where it just starts breaking, like actively breaking. I had multiple bosses push me through the floor, and then I just lose, and then I lost all of my stuff, and I can't reclaim it because I died out of bounds of the game. So for a Souls like where you can't recover your souls
Yeah, that's a bit.
because the game broke, fuck.
and
Like,
I'm assuming
uh,
that you were playing this via Game Pass, obviously, right?
hmm.
So it seems like games are still broken if you play them on PC Game Pass. Like,
Well, and the thing with Game Pass is you have to build the games as we talked about before, as I talked about before. You're not making a game like you do and putting it on Steam. With Game Pass, you actually have to make a game a specific way that works with the Windows files a specific way.
mm-hmm.
And so it the fact that like the games are still partially broken when you're trying to play them on Game Pass is super annoying. Like it's just why don't they put the thought and time into making sure that the game doesn't have any game breaking bugs?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
Yeah.
disappointing is all.
Yeah, I would love to see them have some kind of integration with Steam because like especially with like the talks with them being able to bring Game Pass a lot easier to like the Steam Deck. They would have to integrate that via Steam. Um because like the workaround that you have to do to install it is just it's too convoluted and like the average consumer probably won't be able to even do it.
Hmm.
And I think it would make a lot of sense, especially if Xbox wants to get into the mobile gaming market as easy as they wants to. Steam could definitely help them accomplish this, but along with keeping them up on the PC front as well. But we'll definitely see
Yeah.
on that. But I definitely want to eventually check it out because if I play it, it'll be on my Xbox via Game Pass, and maybe I have like a night and day experience than you did. So maybe I'll be able to compare my experience to yours, and we can kind of go from there.
Hopefully, you have a better experience.
Yeah, because honestly, it seems like our experiences are like night and day PC versus Xbox. Because one of your other games here on the list is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. You have finally returned to try and play this game because actually, I don't even know if you picked it up initially because of how broken it was, but it seems like
Hmm.
it's still having issues on the PC.
Like the fact that like the game was, I was in the middle of playing it and it just crashed. No error, nothing, just crashed.
Just like that,
I
huh?
was, I was just like, oh, guess I wasn't supposed to play this today.
Yeah, that's a bit rough. But like overall, like outside of the bugs, like did you enjoy like some of the story, the combat, the mechanics, like how the game plays at all?
Barely got through it.
Yeah.
That was
Well,
the problem. I was genuinely excited to finally try it. I was gonna give it a chance, give it a fair shake, because I shit on it pretty fucking hard when it came out, because it was unplayable for a lot of people, and then it just still felt unplayable.
yeah, that's rough because excuse me, this was like I mean it could be a bit biased, but one of my game of the year contenders last year between that and Liza
Yeah.
P, and I was just like, man, you got to be able to enjoy this, and I'm almost thinking like you might as well just fuck around and buy it on your PS5 at this point,
Yeah.
or even if it's on the PS Plus Premium, whatever fuck shit, it might be on there
Hmm.
now. I don't know, but you might just have to play it on that because I don't think you're going to have any issues on the PS5, and it's going to look really good, putting out 4K 60 and running on your nice TV that you got as well. So
Yeah, it's just I don't want to spend the money on it and then be disappointed too.
yeah,
And
I would say
also, do you get any content from, your other save file?
you're probably not. It probably doesn't have cross save, would be my guess. But yeah,
Well,
exactly,
that's the thing.
Marshmallow. Don't
Like,
shit on Rick the door technician. That it was the funniest fucking shit ever. You run into this hallway and the boss bar pops up and it's Rick the door technician. It's like some just basic ass stormtrooper. And you're like, is this guy gonna be like this badass? You hit him with like one fucking swing of your lightsaber and he's dead. And you're like, okay, this is a meme. I get it. Okay, but yeah,
my
man.
man was like, "I'm here to win." You're like, "You're here to do something, and win isn't it?"
Yeah, it's definitely not it. But let's talk about winning, right? I beat other games outside of Little Kitty Big City, and let's start off with the game that I originally started with about 3 weeks ago, and that was Wolfenstein 2: The New Colossus. Finally got through that. Finally beat it. Another just average game, wasn't over the top, but an
Hmm.
enjoyable game. It came to like everything I expected from it. The end of the game, like the boss battle per se, was like a, a bit annoying with what you had to do, but overall the story was pretty cool, and then like just how it ended was like, okay, what's next? Because it clearly leaves you on like
Yeah.
a major cliffhanger. So like, where's Wolfenstein 3? Maybe it's in the works. We don't know. Because I don't think like New Blood or the Old Blood have any connection to the mainline games. So we'll definitely see there. But definitely fun game. Again, Game Pass. It made it easy. But let me talk about a game to you that I did not get on Game Pass that I actually invested my hard earned money into, even though it was not expensive. Tales of Kinzera Zao. This is Shoot to Win's Game Club Game of the Month for May. Already beat it. We're going to be talking about it in full extensiveness later this month on the 28th. But this game was on sale 10% off because it just released for
Hmm.
$17.99, and it was probably the best $18 I've ever invested into a video game because fuck the emotional connection that you have to that game. And Roger, I mean, you might even be able to relate to it too with your Pat because this game just talks about dealing with grief and letting go
Hmm.
of that person that you've grown to be connected with. Like the game is literally about losing your father in this game, and
Hmm.
you are trying to talk to the god of death and how you can basically win back your father's soul and bring him back to the real world. And you're fighting in this afterlife world or whatever. It's very like similar to like Black
Yeah.
Panther vibes and stuff. It's really rich in that African culture. But you basically are fighting with your father's mask because you guys were shamans. And I'm not going to spoil the end, but you get to the end and you're like, that was really some heavy ass shit. I was not expecting the ending, and just how and you watch him deal with it, like the progression of dealing with grief is it's crazy to watch. And I was just like, man, this game is really phenomenal, and I really can't wait to dive even deeper into it in about a week or
Hmm.
so when we talk about it. But highly recommend this game. Definitely worth the money to buy it. It's not $70, but it's a really great game, and it takes like 6 8 hours to beat, so it's not an exceptionally long game. It is the whole Metroidvania, and this game felt
Yeah.
phenomenal. Like the game did
It
not
didn't
over
feel like
it.
it went on.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It was like the perfect length. The boss battles were fun and unique and different. Whether you were actually fighting a boss or the boss was causing like environmental damage where you had to like run and escape
Mhm.
to get to the end, and then the boss would die or whatever, you would save the boss from it. Um, yeah.
Yeah, like Ori the Will-O-Wisp
Yes.
style
Yep.
bosses.
Yep. You got it. They basically took from all the Metroidvania games, um, and that's why I believe I gave the game a 9 out of 10. And it's because it didn't do anything new for the genre. It did everything else perfect, but it did not do anything different. It did everything the exact same all of the other games have ever done. Yeah, highly recommended. Really enjoyable. The combat's really fun. The being able to switch between the Mask of the Moon and the Mask of the Sun, it's pretty cool. Like you get different kind of move sets depending which one. It has like a skill tree, you can boost up one or the other or both. Just depends, but
Mhm.
highly recommended. All right, man. Let's talk about. I believe you got two more here on your list, but Far Cry 6, big surprise here on your list. You finally diving into it. I think you may have put it on pause because it sounds like you might want to play it cooperatively. But so far, what was your initial impressions on finally diving into this?
Honestly, I think it could be a really fun game. My biggest issue is I'd like to play cooperatively. Because it's just such a long game, I think it'd be fun to play with somebody else instead of just running through it on my own.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine playing it cooperatively. To be honest, like that game is all about wrecking shit, but like you can be
Mhm.
stealthy or whatnot. But yeah, there's a lot of blowing up and crazy hectic gunfights, and having another player with you might be crazy. But yeah, hopefully you can get somebody to play it. I doubt me and you our schedules even line up anywhere close right now to play
No.
cooperative games, but that definitely I'm definitely how to find somebody and play through that because that's a really fun experience. Is this on Game Pass? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was one of those ones that they added, and I was really surprised. But you know, that's usually how it goes. I buy games and then they put them on Game Pass, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But my let's see what another game I want to talk about. Last one here on my list is called Grease. Game on Game Pass. I was looking for another short experience, and man, the fact that I really went from Tales of
Mhm.
Panzera Zao to Grease is crazy because this game also deals with grief in a way. And like the game starts off as like black and white, and as you progress through the games you basically add color to your world, and every
Mhm.
time that you're adding this color to the world it's really attacking like different emotions. So like the first color for instance is red. Red is dealing with anger. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I hang out with this person? Why didn't I talk to him longer? Why didn't I hang out with them longer? And it's like, damn, like it broke down each color into different emotions, and it's just like
Mhm.
when I went from Tales of Kinzera to this, and I was like, man, I did not expect this game to be anywhere close to what it was about. But because I went from this to this, it just made it even much of a deeper connection to grief. And I haven't really dealt with someone passing that meant a ton to me. Obviously, outside of my son, but that's different story. But
Yeah.
yeah, the dealing with the grief and the memories that you have with someone that for a long time are different than somebody that you barely knew. But yeah, another game highly recommend. I beat it in like 3 hours, maybe four at most, and another great emotional, like it's like a platformer in a way, but not really much of a platformer. It's kind of like turn your brain off. It doesn't tell you what to do or how to go, and you just stumble upon what's next. There's certain places that you can kind of explore, but um, a really enjoyable experience. Shout out to Game Pass, man. I've played so many games because of Game Pass, and it just allows me to have these experiences I probably would not normally have at all. But
No, I agree. Game Pass makes things so easy, and that honestly is one of the best parts about it.
yeah, all right. Did we talk about Valheim for you? I think that's the last one I had highlighted for you.
No, I don't think we talked about Valheim, but let's be honest here. Valheim is pretty fire right now. Like, it's a game I've been waiting for a while, and I'm just so excited to finally dive back into this game. But the fact that they decided to drop Valheim the same day that they dropped, the same exact day that they dropped the next patch for Diablo, I was kind of like,
Damn, you're
fuck,
torn.
dude, what the shit, man?
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely tough when you
But
have
no,
to choose.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to get started though with both games. They're both super fun.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man. So speaking of games that just are about to drop or are dropping soon, is this one of the highlight four upcoming games this week. You got Hellblade 2 coming out on May 21st. Just to put it out there now, that's going to be Shoot to Wins Game Club Game of the Month for June. So I'm really excited to play through that. Yeah, I think it's about an 8 hour experience, is what the developer kind of described it as, which it checks out with how their first game was. But another game dropping on the 21st is X Defiant. Roger, I was already in your DMs like, yo, you want to play this with me? Because I'm really excited
Mhm.
to finally give this game a go. I'm looking for that new arena shooter that I can play and have fun and not stress or whatever. But if I want to, it does have ranked mode. But the fact that like
Mhm.
the casual play does not have skill based matchmaking is great. Like the Mark Rubin, the one of the head directors, he's one of the ex Call of Duty directors, and he was like, I kind of wanted to have that old school feeling, like those older Call of Duty titles when we played Modern Warfare 1, 2, 3, Black Ops
Mhm.
1 and 2, where like every lobby could be different. Like you may jump into a lobby and that guy on the other team is absolutely annihilating you, or you hop into the next game and you are the one annihilating everybody. But the lobbies were always so random. They always stay together too. But if you want a new lobby, you hop out. Like return to that is great. No more, if you're really good, you're always going to be in a fucking sweaty ass match because the game has to do that because of skill based matchmaking. So
Yep.
looking forward to that. Next two are basically like remakes. You have System Shock remake also on the 21st, and Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door comes out on May 23rd. Which I know Marshmallow, I think he's the one that's mostly excited for this one. But with me playing Paper Mario via the Nintendo Switch Online, maybe I can eventually pick this up. But yeah, those are the four games that are upcoming this week that I wanted to highlight. There were plenty others that are coming out, much smaller games, but I think it's a pretty solid week for game releases.
Yeah, I agree. And just a friendly reminder, System Shock Remake isn't actually launching, it's just coming onto a new platform.
Mhm. All right, man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the main parts of the podcast with the industry news first. Before Roger kicks it off, yeah, I definitely agree with you. Marshmallow, Hellblade, and Paper Mario, definitely two solid games. Make sure you do play Hellblade 2 with your headset on because that is one of the main experiences of this game with the multiple voices that are basically built off the surround sound. It makes it sound like the voices are in your head because voices are in her head. But yeah, man, Roger, if you want to talk about the only topic that we really got this week for industry news.
Yeah, so with industry news, Activision Blizzard, after being purchased, is now set to pay 23.4 million after losing a lawsuit, which is actually really surprising. They were sued in 2015,
Mm-hmm.
and it's finally now coming to fruition where the lawsuit is being taken care of. What happened was Activision Blizzard, they infringed on two patents from other companies. They are argued that the monetary damages shouldn't exceed $300,000 for their simultaneous sharing of information used in multi-platform games that they have. So they built their platform and then they're like, well, we infringed on somebody else's patent. It should only cost us, $300,000. But they built a ton of their back end for games like Call of Duty Black Ops 3 and Advanced War use these technologies. So they're actually owed now 18 million for WoW and 5.4 million for these two Call of Duty games that infringed upon yeah, a patent that somebody else had.
Right, and looks like one of the spokespersons from Activision Blizzard says it looks like they're looking to appeal this because they have a strong basis that they have actually never used the patent technologies that are at the issues in any of their games. So this will be another court case that I'm sure gets dragged out even longer.
Yeah, 9 years later, and we're still like dealing with it. So money talks at some point.
Yeah, for sure. But like at this point, like $23 million just to get it over with, like that ain't shit. Like that's a bad Tuesday where they're from. Like just pay that shit, move along. Otherwise, you're just accruing costs like court costs over and over and over, and like you might still have to pay for that in the end. But
Yep,
we'll see.
they don't care.
No, not at all. All right, man. So that's all the industry news that we got for you guys this week. Shout out to Marshmallow. You have redeemed your free glitch energy tub with 20,000 of our points. So I'll get that sent over to you as soon as possible. But yeah, man. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the meat of the episode because holy fuck, do we got a lot to talk about.
3 weeks worth.
All right, man. Got to kick it off here with the obviously the Xbox news. And man, are we kicking it off with a bang, or maybe a fire, or the whole world went into a blaze when this news broke. But Xbox is shutting down more or less four studios. Three of them: Arcane Austin, which just recently made Redfall; Tango GameWorks, who recently made Hi-Fi Rush; Alpha Dog Games, who made the Doom game that I was playing on my phone there for a little bit when it
Mm-hmm.
first came out, and then Roundhouse Games is being folded into ZeniMax Online Studios, so they're not fully shut down, but they're not a studio anymore, so they get folded over. Um, and this is rough. This is really, really, really rough because this doesn't really set a really good precedence, especially the fact that they just spent all of this money on Activision Blizzard to just turn around and close three studios. And I can understand like if the premise was like, oh, the studio's been doing bad things, they haven't really been making us any money, let's close them, right? So let's just cover Arcane, right? Arcane Austin. They made Prey, one of the best critically acclaimed games, right? Roger, I know you recently played through it and you really enjoyed that game. Then they made Redfall, which we all know was a huge failure. And how do they get in trouble for being forced into making a game that they did not want to make? They did not
Mm-hmm.
want to make a cooperative online like live service game, but they were like, you have to make it. So you put people who are not normally into this, make this game, and then when Microsoft bought them, they were like, "Oh, we had no idea." Like they
And
were in this so much
like,
turmoil.
hold up for a minute. You forgot one important thing. They made Prey. They made Deathloop. Like, they made both of those critically acclaimed games, and then they were forced into a third game that they didn't want. Like,
Um,
and Microsoft's like, gotta shut them down.
I think Deathloop was made by the other Arcane. Arcane has two studios, and that one's still
Yeah,
alive. They're the ones who made like
but
Dishonored. So they
yeah,
they
but
Arcane Austin did not make Deathloop, just to make
yeah,
that clear.
but it's still Arcane though, and that's what
Mm.
like they're big, but now they're like, well, we gotta shutter them a little bit.
Yeah, and it didn't seem right. But I was like, okay, if out of all three of these, okay, Arcane Austin makes the most sense. But then we move on
Mhm.
to Tango GameWorks, right? The one that really has struck a nerve, and I plan to make a more in-depth video where I really want to pour a lot of emotion into this because when like how do you celebrate a studio for making great games and then shut them down for what reason, right? Tango Gameworks made The Evil Within 1 and 2, which are both great games. Then they
Mhm.
made Ghostwire Tokyo, which was forced to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive first off, which was also another great game. And then they turn around and make Hi-Fi Rush, which was a phenomenal game that actually won Xbox awards, which what other game has been making Xbox get
And
Xbox
not
awards?
only that, Xbox applauded them, paraded them through the fucking streets,
Yes.
and then was like, sorry.
Yeah.
And then Microsoft had the audacity this week, right after that, to go, we need to work on more indie studios that get us awards. And everyone's like,
You mean this one that we just had?
what about these? What about this shelf of awards? What are you fucking
Yeah, it
smoking?
blew my fucking mind and
Oh,
made
man.
my mind so upset because like Tango Gameworks is probably one of the best studios that they had, and they shuttered the doors and like they were like, well, they don't make a lot of money. They didn't sell a lot of copies. Well, no fucking shit. You shadow dropped a indie game and expected it to sell? No, and it
Mhm.
was Game Pass day one. Of course, you're not going to sell the game. It's
Yeah.
in Game Pass day one. It was an Xbox exclusive. Now it's coming to it came to PS5 or coming to PS5, and it's going to be coming to Switch eventually. What who are making these decisions? But like a lot of the conversations that I was seeing was that Phil Spencer, Sarah Bond, and Matt Booty, the basically quote unquote heads of Xbox, are no longer in charge of it. It is really coming down to Microsoft Gaming. Satya
It's
Nadella is
so
running the show now.
and let's take a step back, and I think I'm gonna say I was right here. At this point, I said, buying Activision Blizzard wasn't going to be good for the industry because what's going to happen now is Microsoft is going to have to play less fast and loose because they're beholden to stockholders like crazy now
Mm-hmm.
because they just went and blew all this cash on a studio that now also has a $24 million lawsuit within the first year.
Yeah.
Like the fact that like they blew a lot of money, so all they have to just it's all shareholders all the time.
Yeah.
So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place where it's they overpromised and now they have to tighten their belt
Right.
and they have
Because
to potentially ruin the industry.
yeah, and like with the announcement of closing these studios, they were like, "We're doing this because we want to focus in on some of the mainstay, the bigger AAA franchise IPs like Fallout and Elder Scrolls and Call of Duty and like these mainstays that are going to make them money. And like they don't really want to focus on these smaller games, but then they turn around and make the comments that they need more studios to make smaller games.
Hmm.
It seems like no one is on the same page right now in the corporate leadership right now, and I really hope that they can get this together. But we'll definitely see. It just definitely struck a lot of bad strings in the gaming industry, and people are like, so like,
Hmm.
it also doesn't set the precedence well, right? With Hellblade 2 coming out, that is a Ninja Theory game that is owned by Microsoft now, and
Hmm.
those people were probably shaking in their boots because this game is probably not going to commercially sell that well. It may be critically acclaimed, it may win awards, it may be the best next gen looking game ever made right now, but they're not going to sell a lot. This game is not going to be marketed. The marketing has been awful, god awful for this game. This game was originally announced with the Series X when the Series X was the first announced, and the game took forever. And like, this game's not going to make a ton of money. It may receive well. It probably is going to win a ton of awards, but it could be in the same shoes as fucking Hi-Fi Rush and Bye Bye Ninja Theory. Some of the greatest developers ever in gaming are going to be shuttered because of, like you said, shareholders, and this is
Yep.
bad. And there's so many other studios that Microsoft owns that are in these same kind of boots because they own a lot of
Yeah,
these smaller studios that are not going to sell well,
and
especially if they go into Game Pass.
the thing is, you also have to remember that them buying Activision Blizzard is just them working towards a monopoly on the gaming industry. They need to be able to own everyone because if they struggle to keep up with indie developers, that's a problem. So the issue becomes, well, these indie developers are pumping out better games for cheaper than we're ever able to do. And
Yeah,
it's because of shareholders. It's because of stupidity on the top. And
right,
and I told you, Activision Blizzard purchase is going to be the worst decision for the gaming industry because all it is going to do is going to brush under the rug the issues with corporate gaming culture, and then we're also going to get, you know, a retardation of the moving forward of the video game industry.
right. Last thought before we move on with Tango GameWorks, right?
Hmm.
They really wanted to have a push into the Japanese market. They're like, we want to have a Japanese studio. We want to get the Japanese player base on board. They
We
just
closed
shut.
the Japanese
They
studio.
closed the only Japanese studio that they had. The only one gone.
and
Did they
and the
fully
thing
give
is,
up
like,
on Japan? Like, did they just said, Japan just ain't hopping on board? Fuck it, we're out.
yeah,
You didn't give them any chance to hop on board, but they're out.
yeah, yep,
It's just it's flabbergasting, and it really hurts to see it. Out of all of them, Tango GameWorks, it really bothers me that they're gone. But we see it from time to time. EA has done it a ton of times, over and over. They bought studios, closed them, lost a lot of great developers. But here nor there, we could dive into that endlessly. But
hmm
moving on to the next point here is that Sarah Bond has a recent interview, and she seemed a bit lost on answer some of the questions. But in the interview, she did announce that the mobile store is launching in July. But this one is a very interesting one because like it's not a full blown app on any of the marketplaces because they quote unquote can't in all countries. So what they're doing it's like a mobile store via the web browser. So basically, so allows everybody to have the same access in all countries without any limitations. And
hmm
but the interesting part is like there's not going to be really any games per se on this marketplace. It's more or less like currencies and DLCs or like the Minecraft marketplace. I'm sure is going to be a part of this some way somehow. But I mean, I guess like it's a start. I'm just curious to see how it plays out. To be honest with you, but Yeah, so that was the one of the announcements there. But you know what? Excuse me. What triggers me even more? Right? They just closed down all these studios. Hey guys, we are announcing a brand new studio called Elsewhere. It is they are working on a new narrative-based genre AAA defining franchise, and the developers are made up of people who helped make Last of Us, Uncharted, Destiny, Cyberpunk, Far Cry, and much more. So we shut down 4 studios, but we're going to open this new one. But it's just it's a head scratcher. But just put more thought into this. This apparently was in the works before the purchase of Activision Blizzard, and this is an Activision Blizzard studio per se. So like maybe it was part of the contractual like agreement, maybe even through the FTC. Like you have to allow this new studio be created. Still, I mean I don't know how far in advance this stuff happens, but that would be my only guess why. But it does not look good where you go, hey, we close these studios, hey, we open this one in about like what 2 3 week span. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Hmm.
On top of that, did not include it here, throwing it in there. But when they announced that new controller, and it was just something like "Feel the Burn," on the same day that they closed the studios, like the tagline was like "Feel the Burn" with the new blah 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 controller, and you're like, that does not no, that does not sit very well. And then they finally updated, like, my bad guys, that was not a good tagline for that controller.
It's not what we meant.
Yeah,
Oops.
yeah, bad timing on us. My bad. Like no,
My B, bro.
yeah, but moving on now to Xbox related hardware news. This one was pretty interesting because obviously we know the support that they have for like accessibility in gaming, which is one things that we would always like applaud them for. And they're
Hmm.
continuing this with a brand new accessibility controller. And when I first saw this, I was like, this is interesting. But get the images here up on screen. It's another one of those modifiable controllers, and you can basically play it with one hand. Um,
Hmm.
and honestly, it looks pretty cool, but it's just awesome to see that it's just another way for people to play games that have certain disabilities. The only sad part here is why the fuck does it cost $300? Would be my guess. Like I'm not even a guess. Like my question that I have: why would a controller like this cost 300 when a normal controller only costs 70? And you're like, this one's smaller in bits and pieces that you have to build yourself. Any thoughts on that, Roger?
I think the modularity of it is one of the biggest issues. The fact that you can actually modularize it, so it makes it definitely um, it makes it much more useful, and it may take off, and it probably costs a lot more to make because you're not going to make as many, so you can't gear up production to make as many. There's just some thoughts.
Yeah. Then along the software side of things, they're finally catching up with the PC and the PlayStation world by allowing game updates to be able to pre-download these. That'll be coming to Xbox consoles soon, so shout out to that. Um, I've never really cared about like pre-downloading updates. Like if I was ready to play, like it would just update right then and there. But I guess it can be useful in certain situations. Yeah, but no big deal on that. Moving on to services though, Game Pass had a ton of additions announced, and actually this was a pretty big drop that's coming out for May. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is out now on all platforms, but this is not the remake, which was head scratching on. Like, why wasn't the remake of this game added instead of the original? Whatever. But a couple of good games here is Chance of Sonar came out already. Another indie developed game that looks pretty cool. Then you got EA Sports NHL 24. This is already on Game Pass, but this is just the cloud version, also now coming. Next up, we got Immortals of Avium. This is the EA Originals game. It was basically like Call of Duty, but like Magic. This is a game that it seemed like it did really well. Not as big as EA was hoping, I guess, but it went on sale
It
for like
it
$5.
flopped.
Yeah, I would say it flopped. It didn't reach the
It
standards for sure. Um, but it was also an EA Originals title, so it's like, what kind of expectations did you really have for this? Like, it couldn't have been on the Battlefield pedestal, but
The
like,
problem was it was overhyped and underperforming.
yeah,
It's what it's faltering to the AAA syndrome where we're sitting here going, yeah, we have this awesome game coming. Look how amazing it is. It's by us, EA. We're gonna drop this amazing. Mm, oops.
yeah. But this circles back to what I was saying earlier. This game went on sale for like $5. I bought it because I do want to play this game. It looks pretty cool.
Hmm.
Um, and it was like, "Yay, it's coming to Game Pass." I was like, fuck me, just fuck me. I buy games all the time, and then they drop on Game Pass all the time. But we're actually gonna be talking about Immortals of Avium later on in the show. But moving on, Hellblade 2, aforementioned earlier, coming out on the 21st to cloud, PC, and the series consoles. Galactic Care coming to cloud, PC, and the series consoles on May 23rd. Haunty coming to all ways of playing it on the 23rd as well. Moving Out 2 coming all ways on the 28th. Then you got Humanity, which I think this was a PlayStation 5 exclusive at one point, now coming to Xbox on May 30th. And then a surprise one here that kind of leaked kind of early. Lords of the Fallen, the new one, coming to cloud, PC, and the series consoles on May 30th. Kind of like a Souls-like game, action adventure-ish, real dark, split between worlds. I'm actually eager to give this one a go because it looked really good when we were covering it, in its pre-release, but I don't think it really hit the necessary numbers again. But it seems like a really interesting game. Then Firework is coming to PC on June 4th, along with Rolling Hills coming to all platforms on June 4th. But we are losing games, obviously, with additions. We do have to lose some. On the 31st, we're losing Chicory: A Colorful Tale, which is one of the critically acclaimed indie games. Far World Pioneers, JoJo Bizarre's Adventure All Star Battle, Pac Man Museum Plus, Little Witch in the Woods, and Railway Empire 2 will all be gone. If anybody still wants to play these, you could buy these for 20% off with your Game Pass subscription. Are you sad for any of those to go or excited for any ones to arrive?
Oh man, Pac-Man Museum Plus? I'm a little sad about. God, I love Pac-Man. The gameplay of Pac-Man, just nothing can match it.
Nothing.
Valheim can't even hold a candle to Pac-Man. Okay, I'm done.
All right, man. And then
Like I
just oh yeah, go ahead.
It's just the Game Pass departures honestly never feel terrible. They
Mm-hmm.
truly don't. I'm a little sad actually about Little Witch because that one has been in early access game preview for since it dropped,
Mm-hmm.
and I was kind of hoping to actually get to play the full version, but
I'm
I
sure that's
never
why it's
even
leaving.
played it. Yeah, exactly. They're like, "Okay, you've had your taste.
Yeah.
Fuck you."
Thanks for previewing the game for us. Now the 1.0 updates here. Got to buy it.
Yeah. No.
But last but not least for Xbox games, aforementioned Redfall will actually now receive a final update. It was actually confirmed at a point where it wasn't, but now it is going to receive this final update where it has revamped neighborhoods, updated nest systems, being able to pause in the single player mode, which I don't know why didn't exist. But the biggest point here is the ability to play this offline, and it's exciting. But there's also much more part of this update that they left in like an article that you go ahead and read. But good to see that this game's going to get its final touches before it gets basically sunsetted because the studio will be closing. This game wasn't. I don't think. I don't want to say it was as bad as what the media portrayed it to be. Maybe it was at launch, but like the game now is like completely different. It runs in 60 FPS, which was a big gripe at the beginning because it only ran at 30. The neighborhoods felt empty, but now they're like jam packed with enemies and different things, and the world
So
feels
you mean
alive.
we got the game we asked for
Yeah,
in the 1.0 launch at like 1.2?
yeah, pretty much, more or less. But I mean, glad that people who have not played this game will now finally be able to play this at its like
Mm-hmm.
best possible state.
True fidelity.
Yeah. So, all right, man. So enough Xbox news. PlayStation was here with like a roller coaster of a ride, as always.
PlayStation. All right, let's start first off with the business. The business structure is changing. So Sony names two CEOs who will replace Jim Ryan. First, we'll get Herman Holst. Holst was previously the head of PlayStation Studios and Guerrilla Games. He will be the CEO of the new Studio Business Group, responsible for all PlayStation game content, as well as bringing its franchise to new mediums such as film and television. And then we'll have Hideki Nishino, who was previously the senior VP of SIE's Platform Experience Group. He'll be appointed CEO of SIE's Platform Business Group, which will see him continue to be responsible for technology, products, services, and platform experience, as opposed to what he was doing, which as opposed to the video game part, he's more towards the hardware and the whole business aspect.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but most companies that have had two CEOs do not run
Hmm.
well because it's like
No.
having two brains with one body, and like it doesn't work ever. Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
even my
like
company,
when you
Taylor
guys
Brands,
kind of
had to.
disagree,
Yeah, like Taylor Brands, the company I work for, had two CEOs, and the company was
hmm
just like being stretched in two different ways, and they were like, this isn't the best idea. We're gonna go back to one. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a no brainer. Why would you have two CEOs?
hmm
So, I mean, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but anything's better than Jim Ryan at this point.
My man just he made some bad choices. But let's talk about the financial report. Annual revenue was up 17% to a record of 29.8, which is much better than what we keep hearing out of Sony. We're like, "Oh, they're failing, they're failing, they're failing." But like, are they? Because their revenue is there. That's the
Hmm.
problem. Like Sony, even though we're all like, "Dude, get your head out your ass," the shareholders are like, "Woo, money guns."
Right. It's
So,
before you move on though, it's so crazy, right? They put
yep.
out a number. It's not even on this list here. Is that I think they have 118 million active users that play
hmm
on the PlayStation Network, and 59 of them are on the PS5, and 59 of those are on the PS4. The biggest question is why hasn't 59 million people convert from the PS4 to the PS5? It's the biggest question I have. I really want to know why they
Money,
haven't upgraded.
money,
Because they're really about to get left in the
money.
dust. Like they're about to get left in the dust because the PS6 and the next
Yeah.
Xbox are right around the corner, whether they like it or
hmm
not. But yeah, go ahead and continue with the financial report here.
Yeah. So software sales were up 24%. So now they're at 14.1 billion. They have 4.5 million PS5 sold in Q4 alone. This is about 29% less from their all-time Q4 records of 6.3 in the previous year. They have 20.8 million PS5 sold during the fiscal year of 23, which is actually up since last year. So it's both up and down for
Right.
them for Sony right now, which
Hence why I
is
say it's a roller coaster ride for them because they're
yeah,
like, we're up here but down here, but we're up here. It's just like what the
we're up,
hell?
we're down, we're yes, we're no, we're in, we're out.
Yeah.
So it's just like they can't fail. Like they're getting too big to fail is the issue.
Hmm.
Same with Microsoft. They're too big to fail. And allowing them to continue to cannibalize the market is honestly our biggest issue here. Because you can see that lifetime PS5 sales are now at 59.3 million. That's pretty much equal to the PS4 launch. They're about 800,000 less. Profits rose. They're up 868 million in Q4. That's literally 172% higher than they were last year at this time, and their operating income is 2 billion more. So like they got money.
Yeah.
They have so much money. Like there's no reason for them to actually try to be better.
Yeah. But I wonder if like a lot of these like numbers too, like because it's incorporating Sony as a whole. So we know
Yeah,
Sony does a lot more than just video games. Obviously,
movies.
just like Microsoft. Like if we seen the Microsoft financial report compared to the Xbox one, I'm sure like it would be almost
Yeah,
similar.
exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's good to see that Sony's still like thriving as a company. PlayStation is part of it, where it's like on that major roller coaster. But Sony definitely doing its thing.
Yeah. And like there are a bunch of other things here. Honestly, we could go on forever, but just one thing to keep in mind is Sony Group has set aside 11.5 billion for acquisitions this next year. 11.5 billion. Get
That's a lot of
ready.
dollars.
As I told you, the industry is going to keep cannibalizing until there's nothing but two or three people left.
Yeah. The real question is, who are they going to buy? Because
Yeah.
the other company has to be willing to be bought.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. But like 11.5 billion, that's a pretty big check to throw around.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
Bethesda money.
remember, shareholders are the only ones that matter for most of these companies. Like a lot of these companies, if the shareholders say, "Yep, I want my money," it's what are you going to do? No, we don't want to sell. Sorry, we're selling you. So then a game company just ends.
Yeah.
All right, Vic, let's talk about Nintendo real quick here.
Yeah. We'll talk about real quick because they are like never in the fucking news. They're like as quiet as whatever you want to say. But announcements of their services, they are bringing three more games to the Nintendo Switch Online catalog. They're bringing Super Mario Land, Alleyway, and Baseball to the library. These games are all some of the classics from the original Game Boy, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and just awesome to see that they're continuing the efforts to bring a lot of their older games to the forefront of their newer platform. Which obviously we know the Switch 2 is probably right around the corner, and I'm sure all of this will carry forward to that next console as well.
Oh man, you forgot to put Super Mario, the Paper Mario,
What do you mean?
in the Nintendo Switch Online, coming to
What?
their catalog.
Well, I mean, we know Paper Mario, like
Yeah,
that's not coming to the catalog. Like you still have to buy that game. These are the
yeah,
free games that come to your
yes,
yearly
true.
subscription. Um, we got this unnecessary chat. I can't do it in OBS. Can't ever figure it out. So if one of my moderators can get rid of that for me. But moving on here to the next topic. I really hope that Inhuman is in the chat still. But Assassin's Creed Shadows got its official name and release date. This was formerly known as Assassin's Creed Red. So it's Assassin's Creed Shadows coming out on November 15th. They did announce the Gold and Ultimate editions, which I do know Paul, aka Human Line, pre-ordered the collector's edition, which is a hefty price tag of what was it, $280. I'm gonna get it up here on screen. Shout out to him because I know he's such a big Assassin's Creed fan. Getting it up here on screen so everybody can get a view. It comes with a beautiful statue, steel book. It comes with the Naoi's Katana Tsuba. I'm probably butchering a lot of this stuff, so bear with me. You got the collector's art book. You got a Creed wall scroll, two Sumi lithograms, the ultimate pack, the season pass, play 3 days early. I mean, this collector's edition is really badass, but I was like, does it really validate $280? And I asked Inhuman, he was like, the statue alone sells me at $280. And I was like, okay, fair enough. I was like,
Most statues are gonna cost that much,
yeah.
and like even I'm here, like, man, that statue's pretty nice. That's cool. I dig
Um,
that. I dig that a
that'd
lot.
be really nice to have like on the wall in the background. Yeah, that'd be fire.
Hmm.
Um, but I told him I was like, I need the steel book and Target. It's not on this page here that I can show you, but Target, if you pre-order just the base game through Target, you get the steel book as well. So I was like, I already know where I'm buying the game at. That's a no-brainer, right? And that steel book is fucking fire, man. Like that shit is sexy to me. But yeah, man. So that game really exciting. Let me get the trailer up here. I'm gonna get that playing while we talk about the rest of Ubisoft news because they had some unfortunate stuff too that had me like, man, I was really looking forward to this. Let me make sure I mute fucking YouTube. Yep. All right, so I got the trailer here, Roger. I'm not sure if you've seen the trailer. If you haven't, give this a go. Obviously, no sound. Don't want to get in trouble for that part. But the other news for Ubisoft is that they canceled the Division Heartlands, which was its free to play, like open world game that they had coming out. And I was actually really surprised because like if it's like free to play, typically it's like microtransaction heavy, and I was like, a lot of these companies really are looking forward to that kind of stuff, and I'm really
Yep.
surprised Ubisoft was like, we're gonna be the
Now
big
we
person
good.
here. We don't need to do that, but we're gonna reinvest a lot of those resources that were being made for that game into a lot of the other titles like Rainbow Six and X Defiant, which we know is right around the corner, which I'm super excited for. But in the same sense, they did confirm that there's a lot more content to come out for the Division 2, which is awesome to see. But they also did confirm that the Division 3 is still in development. Obviously, Massive Entertainment, which is the developer behind these games, are really busy because they have Star Wars Outlaws releasing here in a few months. And that game's going to be pretty massive. And they have DLC content coming for that game. So it's like, I'm sure that the Division 3 is really just in early pre development stages. Like, it's not that far into development, would be my guess. But yeah, man, to talk about this trailer, holy fuck, does this shit look good? I know it's all cinematic, probably no gameplay, but the premise of returning to the dual protagonist is pretty cool because we haven't seen it since Assassin's Creed Syndicate when you could play as either Jacob or Evie Fry, and this one you get
Hmm.
to play as like either the samurai Naomi or the or Yasuki. Yeah, terrible with these guys' names, but the famous African samurai that ended up in Japan at some point, and he actually learned the ways. And like this actually caused a lot of backlash. They're like, "Oh man, why does it gotta be a black man in Japan as a samurai?" And they were like, "Oh, here we go with the whole race thing." But I guess people don't know their historical figures because this is a legitimate character. Like this is a legitimate like real life character that happened.
Well, this is around the time of slavery. It's
Yeah.
around the time of the East India Company, the West India Company. You've got Spain and Portugal. Like literally, did nobody watch the FX show recently that came out that was fire as hell? Like Shogun was awesome. And they talk about like, it was historical context there where all of these people are literally like showing up in Japan during the rise of certain feudal lords, and like Japan was a melting pot for a while there
Hmm.
in like especially around the time of the advent of guns in Western society and Christianity
Right.
showing up in Japan. And
And
like
this was also
it's
during the
just to
time of the
me,
Mongols too, like the that
yeah,
great army of the Mongols, which you're that's basically what you're fighting off in this game. And I'm just like, there's a lot
yeah.
of potential for this.
And the Mongols actually never made it to Japan because they just failed. They failed on an island.
Yeah. A lot of people have a lot of concern with this because like this is the Assassin's Creed that people have been asking for a very very long time. It fit
Hmm.
the perfect premise of an assassin, with the whole samurais in the world of Japan, and it's like, is this a day late and a dollar short? Because they were like Ghost of Tsushima already came and gone. Obviously, the director's cut just came out for PC, and that's breaking numbers with over 80,000 people playing it on PC.
If you had a PSN account, though, come on, let's.
Oh yeah, we didn't even put that into the discussion because we could have went down a whole fucking rabbit hole with that. But um, really excited for this game to come out. But yeah, man, is it a day late and a dollar short? I don't think so. I'm really excited for it. I'm pre-ordering this game as soon as I can. And Human Line is finally here in the chat. There's been AC fan art for Ninja since the first AC. Exactly. Like people have been calling for this for a very long time since the original, and this is like perfect. And like like a lot of people were really excited because they announced like some of the mechanics and like how you'll be able to like manipulate shadows and stuff like that. And they're like, I know fans that are huge into like the Splinter Cell franchise, right? You could already kind of do that in the Splinter Cell games, and they're like, we're not getting a Splinter Cell game, but we're getting basically the Splinter Cell mechanics in Assassin's Creed, and it makes sense. Splinter Cell was basically an assassin. I mean, like more or less, if you want to put it like that. But being able to play in two different fight styles, as Marshmallow here is talking about, like, um, Naomi, the female character, is like really like sneaky and let me hide and stuff like that. Where, how do you pronounce the guy's name? Do you know how to say it?
Which one? Oh yeah.
Yasuke, I think it's Yasuke or something. Um, where he's like more brute force, like a lot of power to it. But yeah, yeah, the Shinobi. Sorry, Shinobi and the Samurai. Those are gonna be the two like main types of characters. So
Hmm.
Ubisoft is booming right now, man. Me and Human were talking about it. They're like, is Ubisoft back? Like with the refocusing and the pulling back and being able to focus on a lot of these titles, are they back? Rainbow Six Siege has been booming, right? The X Defiant is right around the corner. It could be a huge shooter. You got Star Wars Outlaws. If that game comes out and does really well, that could be great. Assassin's Creed could be really great. They just had Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. I know I should own the game, but it was in talks for potentially Game of the Year. Another great game. They have the new Prince of Persia, the roguelike game coming out. Like Assassin's Creed Shadows, like they have so much going for them. If they hit on all cylinders, we could finally get Ubisoft back into the mix and actually doing well.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's big maybes, but
I
I'm
am staying
optimistic.
back
But
here unoptimistic
yeah,
because it's a AAA studio, my friend.
yeah, I hear you.
I've been hyped and I've been burned and I've been hyped and I've been burned, so I'm done. I'm
For a long
toasty. I'm gonna
time,
sit over here in a corner.
right? All right, man. Let's talk about a game that I just talked about a little bit ago as my game of the year.
All right, all right, all right. Let's talk about Lies of P. NeoWiz confirms that a DLC will arrive this year, so we will be seeing a new Lies of P DLC coming soon.
Fuck yeah, dude. Like I
I
have
really
never really
hope.
went back to a game to play it like for DLC ever, but this could be a game I do just because it was my game of the year.
Hmm. Honestly, I'm waiting. I'm hopeful and optimistic that they do it well.
Right. I'm
That's
just curious because like
all I hope
I'm
for.
not going to spoil the ending of it, but do
Hmm.
they pick up from there or do they somehow add on to the story that you were kind of already in? If you know what I mean, like just based off of that.
Hmm.
Cuz we cuz they already announced that they're working on like the next game as well.
Yeah,
So it's like,
and
does the
that's
next
why
game pick up where they're like that ending is, or like does it talk about something else?
yeah, I'm hopeful but I'm not optimistic
I do
about
hope that
where
this
this
isn't one like
goes.
those DLCs that like is like
We
story
added some
wise.
new weapons.
No, like no, not even that. That would piss me off even more. But a DLC where like like they make DLCs that are like in the middle of the story, like it's not
Hmm.
a continuation of the story. It's like
So
in
you
the
got to
middle.
start in the
Yeah,
middle. Yep. Uh
yeah. I don't know if I would sit well with me, but I really hope not.
huh.
All right, Roger. Let's talk about the biggest game in the world.
All right. Let's talk about Rockstar's GTA 5 and GTA 6. GTA 5 has surpassed 200 million copies sold, while it makes up half of the franchise's all-time sales. So half of all games sold in Grand Theft Auto have literally just been this Grand Theft Auto.
It's so
Just this one.
mind-boggling, to be honest with you.
Mind-boggling. And it's honestly, I'm gonna chalk it up that it's all GTA Online that really drives the sales here. People literally are treating this like they treat Minecraft, where they're like in the middle of the fucking game and they're like, I'm gonna make my own game in this game.
Right. And I mean, a lot, all the RP servers,
Hmm.
like exponentially blew up, especially during COVID. It allowed people to like hang out, have fun, play games without like you had the social distance, right? Like there was a lot of these games where like it became like a place to hang out in a
Hmm.
way. And yeah, definitely. And they had Marshmallow. Which game did better, releasing 10 versions of what? And clearly GTA was the winner here in this one.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And then with GTA
Uh,
6,
and so for GTA 6, it's confirmed to be releasing the end of next year. We will see it fall of 2025.
not ready for 2025 when it comes to gaming. It's gonna be too many big
I'm not
games.
ready. I'm not ready for 2025 in general. Let's be honest here. Like,
Yeah, but like the big Call of Duty and potentially next Xbox, GTA, like there's a lot going for gaming and a lot of
I
massive.
mean, we said that last year about this year, and I'm still waiting. Still waiting.
It's because everything got shifted to the end of the year. Like the
And
front half
not
has
only
been
that,
like,
we've had a lot of good launches, like things that were supposed to be good that bombed.
right, exactly. Marshmallow. The new Switch console could release next year. I think that's coming out holiday
Yeah,
2025 as well. And I
yeah.
would
I
assume it
think we're
launches with
gonna
that
see.
Pokemon game, Pokemon Legends A to Z or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yeah,
But
the Alphabet Soup, Pokemon Legends Alphabet
mhm,
Soup. Yeah. Okay.
um, all right, man. Moving on to the next part. We just got three more segments, and then that'll be the end of the episode. EA, man, EA was busy over the past few weeks with a lot of their games, and we're gonna talk about the one that probably caused a lot of stir or controversy. And it was really in regards they were talking about the next Battlefield. They were like, the next Battlefield looking promising because they basically have everybody on board working on this, like a multiple studios, sounding like Call of Duty, right?
Yep.
Multiplayer campaign, like live service. It could be great. But then the CEO was like, we need more money. I'm gonna make my money one way or another. We're gonna put ads into your game, and the internet went wild with this because they started taking a lot of EA games, and you'd be in the middle of a fight. Like I was telling you in the pre-show, Roger, you're in the middle of playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and you're fighting down these droids or stormtroopers, and you go to swing your lightsaber, and it's like ad break, Whopper, Whopper,
Whopper.
Junior, Whopper, and I'd be like, no, I'm done. I don't even want to play no more EA games if they do stupid shit like that. They will lose every possible person in their fan base if they do that
Oh
stupid shit.
shit, dude.
Yeah, cannot. I
That'd be
really hope
rocking,
that's not a
man.
thing. Yeah, that would piss me off. Like you have no idea. Could not do it. Oh, I really hope not.
Oh
I'm really
fuck.
hoping that Battlefield turns out to be a good game. Because obviously we were talking about earlier, Battlefield 2042 burnt us big time. The game is nowhere near what it was before.
Mm-hmm.
I actually returned to it and really been enjoying it. Yeah, EA literally makes sports games, put the ads on the banners and call it a day. Exactly, like you could clearly do it in the sports games. It would kind of like feel normal in the sports games, but don't drop it into Star Wars or Battlefield or whatever. Like, and then you're gonna try and sell me on an ad free subscription if you subscribe to EA Plus or whatever the fuck it's called. EA Play,
Mm-hmm.
my bad, their subscription service. But EA was not done, man. Immortals of Avium. This is actually some really, really solid big news, because Immortals of Avium, EA is diverting 100% of all net sales revenue to the studio, basically to prevent them from closing down. because obviously we're talking about where it did not do the greatest. So instead of shutting the studio down, they're like, we don't need any of this money. We know how talented you are. We want you to make your
Try
next
again.
game. Try again. Please try again. You get
Try
at least
again.
one more chance. So the Ascendant Studios, which is the developer behind the game, has confirmed that they have started working on their next project being made in Unreal Engine 5.2, and it should release in Unreal Engine 5.3 when that fully does come out. So glad to see that someone has made a proper move. This is probably what Xbox should have did, maybe with Tango GameWorks, but I mean, I'm already pissed off about that. Talked about it. Moving on to something that is exciting. College football is back, baby. Man, the last one was like 20. It was football 14, I think it was, right? I was in college, Shippensburg University, dorm room open, people coming in, getting their ass beat in college football, right? It is back. Confirmed to have 134 schools sign up for it. The real likeness of the players are there because that was always the gimmick of college sports games and in the video games, right? You were playing with like made up characters because they could not have the likeness of the real players because they couldn't pay them because they were in college.
Mhm.
That has since come and gone and changed. These players are getting paid. They had to sign up for it. They're getting paid $500 and got a free copy of the game. $500 may not sound a lot, but to a college kid to get their name out there and whatnot, that could mean the world to them.
Yeah.
And honestly, maybe the part of the contract is like, hey, you make it from college, you make it into the NFL, here's a bonus because you're going to become in the Madden as well, buddy. You're going to get, because I know those guys get paid like six figures to be in Madden, which is my next point I'm going to talk about here in a second. But college football will be releasing on July 19th, so that's right around the corner. But on top of that, they're releasing a bundle where you can buy college football and Madden, which also comes with like their extra deluxe stuff for like their the My Teams, which is apparently a new mode in the college football where you can like buy the packs of cards and build your team. And like I was like, man, the opportunities are in this. There was a countless amount of like phenomenal college players, but then like they can get really goofy. Like the one guy, um, Snowbike Mike from Kind of Funny, he was like, you could really bring in like players like Bobby Boucher, right, from the Waterboy. Like you can bring in shit that's not real into the game, but he played college football, right? Why not? It'd be fun. I'd be really curious to see what they can do with that. But speaking of Madden, 25 is releasing on August 16th. We have not really seen any gameplay or anything that they usually do in regards to that. I'm sure we'll see it at the Summer Games Fest or somewhere around that time frame. We'll see the new Madden. But EA, man, EA was finally booming with some good news outside of the whole dropping ads into games. But I hope that doesn't happen. Maybe that's the CEO just talking out his ass, and the board of directors is like, yeah, buddy, yeah, that's not happening. But Roger, I think everyone's tired of hearing my voice. What's going on here with the rest of the gaming industry?
NetEase. NetEase apologizes for contract that blocks creators from criticizing their new game.
Mm,
So maybe some of you haven't heard about this, but the new Marvel game,
Marvel Rivals.
Marvel Rivals. If you wanted to test the game, you had to sign a waiver that says you couldn't negatively review the game. Like what? What? How does that work? You wanna run that one back to me? Like,
Right. And apparently, like,
w-
most people who signed this didn't read the agreement and didn't realize that. And, like, someone who actually read it was like,
hey guys, just so you know, you fucked.
yeah, like, I'm not reviewing this game because, like, that's setting me up for failure. Yeah, that was some bullshit, but I'm glad they walked this back and they kind of, like,
Hmm.
changed their mindset on that. Cause, like, how do you, like, how do you make the game better if everyone's like, oh, your game is so good, but it's really not?
Yeah,
Like,
like what do you do?
like like there's no way. Like you got to be able to take constructive criticism. Like that's why Call of Duty does betas. That's why Call of Duty also brings in playtesters or like streamers. They're like, "Hey, play our game and let us know what the fuck's wrong with it because we need help.
Hmm.
We need to make sure this game is good." And
We want to make sure we release a game that's actually playable.
right, and I don't know about you, but Marvel isn't doesn't have the best track record when it comes to games from all studios. Like Marvel Avengers, hot garbage. Obviously, the Spider-Man games were great, but like Guardians of the Galaxy was middle of the road. I thought it was a really great game. It didn't get the appeal, the attention, like the advertisement that none of these other games get.
Hmm.
And this one has a really solid chance of being a really big, important game. But you can't fucking do shit like this, man. You can't. You got to let people criticize the game because maybe that's what happened with Marvel Avengers. Maybe there was a fucking clause in the thing that said you couldn't negatively review the game. Everyone was like, "Oh, this game's great," and it's really not. and that's what we
Yeah,
got was a hot fucking garbage can.
we got it. We got it. We got what we asked for.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to NetEase for fixing this because that was a disaster waiting to happen.
hmm
Next up, man. This is actually another good
All
news,
right,
actually.
last thing here, Square Enix. So let's talk about Square Enix real quick. They will aggressively pursue multi-platform releases moving forward because they've decided Sony and their single console release strategy was not a good idea. It didn't work. It ruined the business. Wow,
Who
it
would
took them forever
imagine?
to figure that out.
So, hear me out, right? This kind of circles back to your PlayStation segment where I was talking about how there's only 59 million PS5 players,
hmm
and most of Square Enix games lately have been, if I'm not mistaken, PS5 only, not even on the PS4. So you're only selling at most, if every single person bought it, 59 million people.
hmm
What the hell did you expect was going to happen?
Yeah.
It's just flabbergasting. And like they always talk about how expensive AAA gaming is, right? You got to bring these games to multi-platform. At least include PC, and not a year later when the hype of the game already crashed and burned. It
hmm
just doesn't work like that. Occasionally it does, but it's not with Square Enix games. So yeah, no brainer. Shout out to them. I mean, obviously we've been seeing this with the whole new partnership with Xbox that they promised to bring a lot of their future games to the platform. We just recently got Final Fantasy 14. I think we might see Final Fantasy 16 next. A lot of talks are saying that we probably won't see Final Fantasy 7 come over to any other platform until part 3. I think because I think it's a trilogy for the remake of
Yes.
of 7, and I think that PlayStation has that locked up for hey, once all 3 parts are out, a year goes by, then you can bring it to whatever, and I'm sure like when that happens, all the other platforms will get like a all in one collection sold to them as opposed to like a game by game
Yeah.
setup.
And Philipper, what we're talking about is like their major releases. Like, yeah, after the fact, sometimes Square Enix comes to the Xbox to Microsoft. But, when was the last Square Enix game like,
Let's talk
Final
about
Fantasy, for example?
but we'll just talk about Square Enix's last 3 major releases: Final
hmm
Fantasy 16, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, and Foam Stars. All only released on PS5.
Yep.
If you release those on a much bigger scale, those games are probably going to succeed. And you're not, if I'm not mistaken, Square Enix
You
actually
released
was
them on
negative 200 million or
PC.
something.
Fuck, dude. Release it on PC alone.
Right, and you'll be fine. Obviously, we know the
Stupid.
Xbox market, the Xbox like scale compared to it is not that massive. Like Xbox makes up like 8% of the gaming industry, right?
hmm
It's not that massive. Mobile gaming is the biggest, then PC, then PlayStation, and then Xbox. And well, I think Nintendo's up there, obviously. But like we're talking about the games that Square Enix are going to bring their games to. Obviously, they're not bringing Final Fantasy 7 or 16 to the Switch because it's not even possible. But
Yeah, like maybe they could do it with the online,
yeah,
but it's not there.
mm-mm, not at all. But yeah, man, shout out to Square Enix. Hopefully, they get this turned around. New CEO, new leadership. It can make a big difference. We're seeing the impacts now, but finally glad to see this happening. But man, the gaming industry has been on fire in a bad way lately, and we finally got through all of that news. And there was a ton more that we could have dove into. Obviously, we're trying to play catch up over the last 3 weeks, but hopefully, we're here to stay for a few weeks. But yeah, Roger. Any last thoughts before we close out this week's episode?
Yeah, man, I just hope the gaming industry picks itself up. We're almost halfway through 2024 and, we're honestly seeing the problems here. Like, look at Manor Lords. This was a small indie release,
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Yeah,
Hit Game Pass, but also it sold
2
a
million.
shit ton
I think
on
they're
Steam,
I
like
think they're up to
an
2 million copies sold.
insane amount
Yeah,
for just a small indie team. Like, this is just going to show that like the gaming industry, they're shit in the bed. AAA is a thing of the past. Like, if you
look
want
at their
to
most
get
successful
AAA
games this
games,
year:
yeah,
Power Worlds,
yeah,
Helldivers 2, Manor Lords, all AA indie games.
yeah, double A or single A. Like Manor Lords was single A. That's not even double A,
Yeah,
and it's out there. They just had good marketing.
yeah. But yeah, man, gaming hopefully picks it up. And honestly, we're about to hit like a really big part of the gaming industry because Summer Games Fest is in like 2 weeks, June 7th. followed
Mm-hmm.
up by the Xbox Summer Showcase on the 9th. Sony's supposed to be announcing their showcase, and I believe Nintendo had said that they're going to have one around the whole Summer Games Showcase. IGN announced their new like E3 esque event, so like gaming will be buzzing with a lot of new game releases, new updates, releases, hardware game. Like there's gonna be a lot going on over the next coming weeks. I don't know if we're gonna be able to cover because I'll be getting married that weekend when the games industry is busy announcing everything. But yeah, man, we do want to shout out everyone who came through and checked us out live today here on Twitch. Be sure to if you're watching this on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music, check us out live, man, every Sunday at 7 p.m. But Roger, where can the community find you at, man?
You can find me at Discord. Always same place. You can catch me here or on my Discord over at Lunacy Arts. We're gonna be playing some Halo after this. If you want to pop in, you can play.
Oh yeah, man. And everyone, you can check me out at Twitter or X at Mr. Never Chillin _. Threads is at Mr. Never Chillin. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. Um, Facebook is Vic Brubacher for any questions, concerns. If you even want to come on the show, slide in the DMs there. And I do stream over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin. Basically, every game that I play for its story gets streamed onto there so I can get my recording. So I think the next game I'm going to play is As Dusk Falls because I have about a week or two to get through a couple more games before I start with Hellblade 2 at the beginning of June. So really looking forward to that. So I appreciate anybody who does come and check out my streams. But Roger, let's thank everyone again. And until next time, peace.
See ya.
Press Start Podcast.